Raiders. Fuck that.
Hi, everybody. It's Craig. Yeah, it is Doc's Daily for Friday, 12/12. How about that? December 12th. Hope everybody, we're less than 2 weeks on the countdown to the big D-Day. Christmas is upon us here. So let's pay off some of those Christmas bills either ahead of time or ones that Black Friday or whatever. Let's do that today with some free picks from us. Not the biggest card today. NBA has 7 games, a couple in the NHL. College basketball has a few games. We even talked about it yesterday, but we can add some more. Texas and UConn, pretty big matchup, even though the line doesn't say so. But we'll have all this and more. Don't forget, if you want to get in our free $60 account, this is the way to test us out. So people always say, hey, what's your top play? And the top plays are over at the website, always. DocSports.com/free60 will get you a free $60 to test us out. So it's $30 per day per sport, so you can get 2 different guys for that, or you can use it towards a week pass for a sport and just pay the difference of $39. So, but get in on that, and that's for new customers only. Of course, you're an existing customer. Go over to the grid and get in on our top plays. We do have several top plays today. I think there's a couple of top plays even tomorrow, Robert. You could probably be better for college football.
Yes, a couple guys are in on that bowl game. There's 2 top
the LA Bowl is
on
tomorrow,
that Washington Boise State game, and they're both on the same side, so they feel pretty strongly about it.
And then, of course, there'll be more college basketball. It's a huge day. This is one of the biggest days of college basketball so far this season tomorrow. So make sure you get it. And then, of course, the NFL Sunday and Monday. So make sure you check out the grid and get in on if you're an existing customer. Okay. Nick, you kick us off here. That Thursday night football game was exactly how I thought it would be. Ugly, ugly, ugly. And Carolina's I mean, the division's the taking for Carolina now. If they win this week at New Orleans, they're going to be take the lead in this division. What did you think about Thursday night football?
Yeah, it was a shocker. I actually went to bed after that 2-point conversion in Tampa Bay. I said, no way Atlanta's coming back and let alone covering, winning the game outright. How about Pitts? 3 touchdowns there. I missed that one. Should have seen it. Obviously, no London. I should have been all over that one. I had Bucky Irving, his rushing yards, that hit, but his receptions, I had 2.5. And if you saw the opening drive, he got one on that opening drive, but Baker just couldn't find him. That one caught me by surprise. I did lean on the Falcons before the game, +4.5 in that one, but I thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just because the recent struggles, you got Mike Evans back in that lineup and Bucky, I thought they would pull it off. Huge comeback for the Atlanta Falcons there. And I keep saying it, they're the best, worst team in all of NFL.
I don't know what Atlanta is, to be very honest. And you know what's going to happen, Robert. You know they're firing their coach. This is how it works. They're going to fire their coach most likely because they'll say it was a disappointing season. Probably going to win some games between here and the end of the year, and then it's like you scratch your head next year. More so, I want to know, Robert, what do you think now? This, of course, when we put our plays out, we don't know what's going to happen on Thursday Night Football because we put our plays out at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now we know they lost. Is the Carolina-New Orleans game, is that Carolina maybe something that you look at a little more?
No. Again, the South is just kind of a trash heap, basically. Like Tampa Bay, great comeback by Atlanta. They definitely deserve the credit, but Tampa Bay sucks. Like, again, we talked about this. They're not a good team. They have not been a good team all year. They have been outgained in 10 of their 11 games. Like we saw even last night, like Baker Mayfield is scrambling around running for his life and then just heaving the ball downfield. God bless him. Like he is single-handedly carrying that team. But you've seen they went through back-to-back years losing their offensive coordinator. And we were talking off air about the Eagles. What's wrong with the Eagles? What's wrong with the Eagles? Well, that's part of it. Like they don't have a good offensive coordinator. That's why their offense isn't working. Same thing with Tampa Bay. Like they were a mess last night on both sides of the ball. So in terms of Carolina, like they already had motivation. If Tampa Bay had won that game, then it wouldn't be more motivation because it's like, okay, now we have to win just to keep up. So, New Orleans beat Carolina the first time on the road. Nick, to jump on what you said, I have felt like I hate Tyler Shuck. I think he's trash. But I have felt like New Orleans is kind of a good, bad team. Like defensively, they are tough. They have some skill position talent. This is, of course, before they traded Raheed Shaheed. So New Orleans isn't rolling over by any stretch of the imagination. They went on the road and beat Tampa Bay last week. Carolina coming off of a bye. I don't like betting on teams out of a bye week. Usually they're a step slow, especially early and especially on the road. So, no, I don't think this provides any extra motivation for Carolina.
It's an interesting division. And it seems like every year, basically 8-9, 9-8, what's going to win the division. Probably going to be the case again this year. But we have seen this division. What was it? Tampa Bay. Was it last year they went to the Rams or to Detroit and won? Was that 2 years ago?
That would have had to have been 2 years ago because last year the Rams lost last year the Rams lost to Philly and Washington beat Detroit. Yeah. I don't think that was in the playoffs. I think they beat Detroit.
No, it definitely was. It was definitely in the playoffs.
Last year.
It was 2 years ago they lost.
2 years ago.
2 years ago they lost, and then you're right, last year Detroit. So we've seen this division, and we've seen it in all of football. Just get in, and you can win a game. Especially when you win the division, you get a home team. You get a home game. So that's like the interesting I don't know. I don't think any of them are good, but I do think the NFC is like that you can win a game in the playoffs, and that's why football is so amazing, especially in the NFL. Let's talk a little bit about that LA Bowl. I don't think either one of you, I was looking through the plays, I don't think either one of you had a premium play on it, correct?
I do. I have a 1 unit play.
Okay, so let's talk about it, Nick. Boise and Washington. This is the earliest bowl I can remember. Like, this really snuck up on me that I don't think we've ever had a bowl the same game as the Army-Navy. Usually that weekend they kind of leave for Army-Navy. So to have this bowl, and don't forget, people are like, oh, all the opt-outs. The opt-outs this year to get into the transfer portal is late. So all these guys, for almost all the bowls, I believe, I think it's the first, right, of January, it might be. So a lot of teams people don't have to opt out anymore. And I've looked through this. I don't see a whole lot of opt-outs. Any slight leans on this one so we can give to everybody?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm looking at this Boise State. Why are they plus 9.5 here? Yeah, Washington's been competitive. They got a good offense. They average over 400 yards, but so does Boise State. And it leads me to this over-under here. And it's at 30 or 53.5 total points. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this one. Obviously, Washington's got a high tempo paced offense here. But Boise State's defense hasn't been that stellar. Yeah, they're 36 and they only allow 335 yards, but this is a spread offense that Washington runs. I expect points at a premium in this one, so I'm going to go with the over. I know these bowl games, typically you like to go on the under, but I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this first bowl game of the year here. So give me the over 53.5 total points in this one, Craig.
Well, I don't know what they do. I didn't look into it because, one of the big things why teams want bowl games is all the bowl practices you get that you don't get if you don't make a bowl team. Basically, it looks like they only had like a week and a half to prepare. So basically they had like a week extra practice. I don't know if they're going to give them extra practice after this to kind of make that up for what that's how you develop a lot of young talent for next year for some of these teams. So Boise was a team that I thought this year, obviously they started with the South Florida loss. At the time, we thought that was a bad loss. It ended up not being because South Florida was pretty good. But the conference was so bad this year, and they lost to Fresno. I think they also lost to San Diego State. And then, of course, they beat up on UNLV twice. That just UNLV was just a bad matchup. So, I don't know. This is a really tough game, I thought. I thought the line was about right. I thought it should have been between 7.5 and 9.5. And like you said, it ends up at the high side of that, obviously because of the big – but I'm interested for future. I don't know, Robert, if you agree with this, but – I don't know what to make of the middle to bottom of the Big Ten this year. I just don't because they really – I mean, this team also lost to Wisconsin, remember, Washington. Is this something that maybe you take away just how we're going to play the other Big Ten teams in the other bowls of how maybe Washington plays here?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in relative conference strength and gauging how teams are in relation to the other teams in their conference and then how those conferences stack up with other people. So absolutely. I like Nick's read on the over. I can see both teams playing in the 30s in this matchup. And to your point, Craig, that they didn't have a big preparation time. Well, because of that, they didn't have a big preparation time, right? Like if you have 3 weeks to scout your opponent, to pick up on their tendencies and things like that, then you might be better prepared. So I think they're both just going to be throwing their best punches. And for both of them, that's on the offensive side of the ball. So I definitely see this one going over 60 points.
Any Jed, what's his name, Tish or whatever, sounds like maybe he's one of the short list for the Michigan job. Is that any distraction worry there? I mean, he's not going to be the top guy. He's going to get like maybe the 4th, 5th, 6th call. I mean, they're going to swing for the fences, but does that any distraction there for Washington?
I never think so. I never think that rumor mill, this coach might be up for this job. I have seen no indication ever in my career that has ever really like impacted how teams play on the field. Like it's just talk. Same thing with guys leaving in the transfer portal. Like you can tell during the regular season when teams quit, like in November, you can just look at a team and be like, all right, those guys quit. They're done. All right. But short of that kind of obvious, just them giving up, teams start getting bombed every week, missing against the spread by 2 or 3 touchdowns every week. Short of that, like all the stuff about transfers, that's just talk. Like I've never seen any correlation to that in results on the field.
Well, I do love that they pushed the transfer portal back because it had ruined bowl season the last couple of years where, I mean, there was teams where 20 guys that contributors were out. And I mean, just absolute, I mean, I don't even know, doing what we do and betting, like what do you do? I mean, that's literally 2 different teams that we're playing. So it's going to make that better. Also, obviously we're going to hear more about the Michigan job status. So we'll be talking more about that. Lenny doesn't want to talk about it because he's a Michigan State guy, but we'll be talking about it more next week in Docs Daily. Now, NBA is really the star of the show today. Not only we got 7 games today, we also have the NBA Cup. Let's talk NBA Cup first because I know a lot of people are pretty interested in it. I will say this. I won't say a detractor I was a doubter. Let's just say that this NBA Cup would matter to the point where guys would play because they're like, well, they're playing for money. It's like, dude, the guys on these teams are making 40 to 50 million, the top players. They do not care about $1 million. What I didn't realize is that they want to win for the guys on their team that only make, $20,000 a night. And now you can make $1 million on a weekend. Any opinions here, Nick, on these 2 NBA Cup games on Saturday? And of course, these are in Vegas, if you guys didn't know. Knicks favored by 4.5 against Orlando. Spurs underdog against the Thunder by 10. Any opinion on either one of these games? And Robert can maybe handle the other one.
Yeah, the first game between the Knicks and the Magic, I will have a top-rated play, but that San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Wembanyama will be in the lineup here for the Spurs in this game. Now
he must be because they thought he was this close against the Lakers in an extra few days. I can't imagine he's not. But the line doesn't necessarily suggest it. I thought if he was playing for sure, I thought this would be 8. So I don't know.
Right, and I think he's going to be in this game, and I don't like the Spurs because of it. You saw what they did in their last game. They didn't have Victor Wembanyama. Wembanyama's been in and out of the lineup, and the Spurs have been competitive. Look what they just did against the Lakers. So now that he's back in the mix here, yeah, he's a great player. I'm not going to say they're not going to compete, but I just think it might hurt them on their tempo here in the in-season tournament just because he hasn't been there. So I'm all over the OKC Thunder, and I'm laying the wood here as they've shown it time in and time again that they're blowing teams out here and they want to win this in-season tournament. So lay the points here with the Thunder minus 9.5 against the Spurs tomorrow.
I had to double check because I couldn't believe, like these teams haven't played yet this year. So I was shocked that they hadn't played because, usually we're 20 plus games in. You've played most of the teams in the West if you're a West team or most of the teams in the East if you're an East team. Has not been the case. I think the Spurs have been the second best team in the West. Consistency-wise. People might say the Lakers, but the Lakers, I mean, just look what happened the other night. It's like they've kind of been all over the place, like a little bit. I mean, they're winning, but, who they're beating, I don't know. I just think this Spurs team has been great. Castle,
crazy.
Castle is a dog. Like, I mean, did you see what he did to LeBron on that fast break and Luka? I mean, the guy, he is just no back down. And the Harper kid, like, I knew he was great. I watched him last year. They have like 2 of the exact same guys that just dogs go downhill. They don't fall in love with the 3-point line, even though Castle did hit kind of the dagger from 3 last night. Robert, any opinion on this other game? I mean, the Magic have been great. They got no respect against the Heat, and they pretty much did whatever they wanted there. And they've played the Knicks, 3 times already? 4 times already? They played them a ton.
Yep. I will have a big play on that game as well. So I will give out. I like the over in that San Antonio Oklahoma City game, by the way. San Antonio, someone has scored 125 points, either them or their opponent, in 7 of their last 10 games. They've scored 130 plus in each of their last 2 games. That number is sitting in the mid 220s. I'm with you, Nick. Like, bringing Wembanyama back in such a high-profile situation, I don't think it's the way to go. Like, just because a guy comes back, I know this is a huge difference, but we saw it last week in college basketball when Nate Biddle sat out for a game, and then he came back to play for Oregon, and that number moved a lot. I think he went 0 for 7 from the field. Because just because you're coming back, like, doesn't mean that you're going to jump right in and put up 35, 14, and 6, you know? So I think Oklahoma City is going to dictate everything. I still don't think that's enough points. With him, without him, between 8 and 10, I would look at Oklahoma City because, again, they can do whatever they want. If they want to win this game by 18 points, they can win this game by 18 points. I just don't think San Antonio can stop them. And by the way, Denver is the second best team. They're the second best team in the NBA.
Yeah,
they're the second best team.
I forgot about Denver. I was putting the
Denver.
Lakers there. So you're right. Denver would be there. I'd put them behind Denver and not that far behind because they're winning. They've been without Fox to start the year. They've been without Harper for a long time. Like a bunch of guys have missed. It has not mattered.
I think they're better off without Fox. I think that they need to think about flipping Fox somewhere on the trade deadline for somebody. I don't think he's a great fit for what they do. I don't think he's a great point.
The one thing they don't have is great shooting, three-point shooting. Like I said, Harper and Castle are basically the same guy. They can go down the hill. They're going to be a problem for the near future. Now, can one of them be the point guard if you trade Fox? That would be the question. If one of you feel that, then yeah, because Fox makes a ton of money. He's a max player.
He makes a lot of money. He's still young. I feel like you could get something for him. So again, maybe that's the Trae Young. Maybe that's the Trae Young deal,
or even the Bucks. Like
I could see that.
You know, the Bucks need a Robin for obviously for Giannis. So there's a lot of teams that could use him. And I don't think he's a terrible player. I think the one thing is Victor Wembanyama is the best player on that team, and he wants to be the best player. So it's like you kind of got to decide. I think maybe not this year. Maybe it's in the offseason. Yeah. But it could be interesting because
I like Fox. I think Fox is a good player. I just don't think he fits real well with that group. I just don't.
I'd love to see him in the East because I think the East is so wide open this year. It's like, dude, he could, if you put him on any team in the East, all of a sudden they're probably a playoff team, even if maybe like a team that's borderline right now. All right, let's talk NBA though for tonight. I'll give a small lean on that Cup game. I'm gonna take the Magic. I just think the Magic. I don't know how they do it. I watch games and I'm like, they'll go stretches where they're just terrible. And all of a sudden you're like, they're only down 3 or 4. And then they play well for a quarter and then they're up. It's not the most fun team to watch because they do it the opposite way. They don't shoot nearly as many threes. They shoot a ton. Banchero is a guy that shoots a ton of mid-range. He's kind of like your boy DeRozan from when he was at the Bulls, except he's just bigger where he shoots a ton of mid-range shots. That's kind of not the NBA nowadays. But I like Orlando in this spot. Maybe Knicks win, they don't even cover. But I know what the league wants. They want the Knicks and the Thunder because a lot of people are like, this could be, like a prelude to the finals. Yeah, so it could be. We really haven't seen that. The Lakers won the first year. The Bucks won last year, right? The Cup, I believe. And so, neither one of those teams ended up obviously going even into the finals. So, if it's one of these two teams, they're going to be two of the favorite teams to win the finals. NBA tonight, anything you like, Nick, that maybe we dabble on these guys?
Yeah, let's talk about it. My Chicago Bulls. Well, we're not going with them. The wrong team is favored here, let me tell you. There's no reason why the Bulls on the road here, -3.5. They're on a 7-game losing streak, folks. I think their last win, it came against the Wizards, and they barely won that game. This Chicago Bulls team is depleted. I don't know what's going on with them. They don't have a playmaker to get the job done. They're 3-9 on the road. The wrong team's favored here. Take Charlotte plus the points at home and even sprinkle some on the money line. I like Bridges here. He's averaging over 20 points per game. And Ball, we'll see what he could do here tonight at home. So these Bulls, keep fading them. They are not a bet-on team right now, Craig.
1-9 against the spread. 1-9 against the spread, and you're favored on the road. They just played this team, what was it, like 2 weeks ago, and they got –
it almost makes me want to take them.
I was like, dude, who's out? And someone did say one of me and IC's video that we covered this game that Hornets, a bunch of players are day-to-day. Listen, I think the NBA puts day-to-day on basically everybody because the whole betting scandal that has come out with Terry, it's like some of these guys that play and then take themselves out. It's like I think they do that now to kind of protect themselves. So I do expect Ball Paul to play tonight, FYI. Robert, anything you like in NBA Friday?
Nope.
You're such a basketball guy. Oh, I know you're a college basketball.
I am. No, I am. But no, I liked yesterday's card. I'm a little mad that I didn't go a little bit stronger. I was on the right side with all 4 of the games yesterday. But I don't really like tonight's.
Oh, I meant to mention.
I'm not gonna waste your time.
If you like team totals, the Thunder team total was 120.5 the last cup game. They went over that in like 8 of their last 9 games, and I mean way over. And don't worry, when they're up big, they still score. Like they put the second unit for the Thunder would win probably 50% of their games right now. They're that deep right now. And so don't worry about that. I would play their team total over as well. That's been you basically could just bet it blindly the last month and you'd be way up. One of the better things out there in hoops. College hoops, we did talk yesterday a little bit. UConn and Texas, Robert. Line's 15. I'm seeing pretty equal action, so I thought maybe this line we'd start to see maybe some 14s or 14.5s. I don't see it moving. Anything change your opinion in the last 24 hours?
No. Like I said, I'm not in a hurry to bet against Connecticut in their own gym. But this is too many points for me to lay. Texas went on the road and played Duke in Charlotte in their first game and hung within 15. And Sean Miller is just a really good coach who I respect. His teams don't get blown out a ton. He plays big and he plays physical. So it's not even like a styles thing where they're not going to be able to adjust to Connecticut's style of play. So no, this was an easy throwaway for me. No play.
I mean, Sean Miller, for me, I hate him because he's coached at Xavier twice, and that's my rival school that I grew up liking was UC. Even though I'm not that big a fan now, I still, when they play Xavier, I'm always rooting for UC. What's his name, Miller for UC, because that guy cannot. Nice guy. I've met him several times. Nice guy. He just cannot win. He cannot beat Xavier. He has not beat Xavier by like once. Anyway, Sean Miller's an unbelievable coach. If the rules were now, he would have been able to pay DeAndre Ayton and would have never had to leave Arizona. And he had it rolling when he was at Arizona. Not that Texas has all the same capabilities I think he does, but he wouldn't have had to have that the layover, go back down and come back up. So Sean Miller, great coach. I think that's what this game is. If you bet this game, you're like, I trust Sean Miller enough to keep this within 10, 12 points. Because if it wasn't Sean Miller, if it was, a lot of other coaches, I'd be like, UConn. The other game, Xavier plays Missouri State tonight. Nick, any opinion on that? It's a lot of points. And Xavier, even though they've had a little bigger rest after beating the rival UC, this is usually something I almost always circle teams after they beat their rivals. Is that what this game comes down to? Because it seems like Xavier could name the they could win by 20 if they really wanted to.
Yeah, definitely after emotional wins like that, you want to look for the opposite team if you're laying double digits, and it's plus 18.5. So I would lean towards the Missouri State on that one, but I want to look at East Tennessee State. Now, this line was minus 2.5 here on the road. They're playing Austin Peay, and this is not a very good team. I believe they're 5-5 or 5-4 on this season. East Tennessee scores, and they score a lot of points. They play very fast pace. I think they easily cover this one on the road against Austin Peay. Lay the minus 3.5.
It's Austin Peay.
Austin Peay.
It's Micah Peavy, who used to play at CCU.
Austin Peay.
Oh, that's great. I have a soft spot for East Tennessee State. Little fun fact. My favorite country singer and favorite singer is Kenny Chesney. That's where he went to school. So I'm always like East Tennessee State all the way. But I will say these games scare me, though, because I thought this line, I'm always trying to set my own line. I'm not as good as like some of the other guys we have, like Robert and Raphael. But I was kind of thinking this line should be 5.5 to 6.5, and it was 3.5. I'm like, who's out? Is that Robert? Any opinion on that one?
No. The one game I considered tonight was East Texas A&M over McNeese State. I didn't use it, but this is a handy little trick. When you have nights like tonight where there's only, say, 10 games and they're all random games, just take the biggest underdog on the board. Because, again, those numbers get juiced up. They know the public like to bet. That's kind of why I'm with you. Like, I kind of would lean Missouri State. There's no way I'm playing that one, though, because they lost by 24. I forget who they lost to, some schlub-ass team Like Quanzo Martin going back to Missouri State for a second time, you thought, okay, this was going to be a good fit. He was a really good coach there in his first stop before he went on to greener pastures. I don't know what's going on with this Missouri State team right now, but they are not good. But yeah, just in general, if there's only like 6 or 8 games on the board, look at the biggest underdog.
I'm not a big fan when a coach goes back, especially he's pretty young to go back because he's already got all his money. I mean, he's bounced around and got a few paydays. And now you're going back. So what's the the love, obviously. You have the love of it, but it's like he's obviously trying to get back. Everybody.
Yeah, it's not the same as when you're young and hungry and trying to get that next
Feed your
job.
family.
It's almost like think of the first job you ever had. Now imagine going back and working there now after all your experience. Well, it was Tulsa. They lost by 24 points at Tulsa. So I don't know if I want any part of them catching
UT Arlington too. They lost to.
Yeah, they're not good. Like Missouri State's not.
It all comes down to like what's the motivation for Xavier? Because if they're ready, it's name your 25, 30. It could be anything. But if you're like, hey, still patting yourself on the back because you beat UC last time out, then it's like, and it is FYI. This is be careful this week. This is exam week. Some are this past week. Some are this week. So that's why you want to see why there's not a lot of games. If it's exam week, they try to scale back. Maybe you schedule a Missouri State if you're Xavier or something so that you don't, so that your kids have that. So be careful.
Also, no bet against Dickie Patino is a bad bet either. I'll fade that guy any day of the week.
He was terrible at Minnesota. It's not the most resources, but I thought he did an okay job. I did not expect what he did at New Mexico, to be honest. Like I thought he's going to go to New Mexico. He'll be there 4 or 5 years and get fired. And then
he got 2 years of Donovan Dent. That kind of helps. And New Mexico is winning this year. Like they got a good team. That's just a really good program.
It's a good situation.
Yeah,
it
is. Like
Steve Alford struggled.
It's such a good situation. Even he couldn't screw it up.
Yeah,
and they weren't that good in conference play before last year.
He's always. I will say this. He seems to get good transfers, which like right now, if you win the transfer portal. You don't have to get a lot of high school recruits, especially like Xavier. You got to do your good guys are going to get taken from you, and you got to take some other guys. So we'll see how he does at Xavier. I was actually happy when he got the job because I'm like, dude, Sean Miller's going to beat UC a lot. Thank God he moved on, and I think we have a chance to beat him. And then of course, boom, lose last week. Although I did think that was a coin flip game.
What do you think about Cincinnati, Georgia on Saturday? It's kind of
Georgia can score. Like Georgia, if you haven't seen Georgia play. It's like you sneeze and they have 100. I mean, this team pushes the pace. UC is one of the worst shooting teams in college basketball. Like, how are they going to score? Like, I don't know.
But they Georgia has put up those big numbers though against really terrible competition. Like they played one of the weakest schedules in the country. They only beat Xavier by 1 point. On a neutral side.
We lost to them.
Not true, but it was a close competitive game, right? Like they didn't get run off the floor by them. So if we're going to say that Cincinnati and Xavier are comparable teams, okay, let's say that they're comparable. This number tomorrow is going to be like 9. Georgia's going to be like a 9-point favorite in that game, 8.5, 9 points. Feels like too many to me. But
the funny thing is, I think Cincinnati has a team that like Bob Huggins would want. Like, dude, this team could just be bruisers. And like, hey, we're going to go get every offensive rebound. We're going to be offensive rebound. But they don't play like that. They shoot a million threes. And it's like, it's just, and I know that's the way basketball is played nowadays. But, dude, you have to play to your personnel. They don't have the greatest three-point shooters. That's just facts. Look at the percentages. We're far enough into the season now where percentages matter. You're like, okay, these are the good shooting teams. Cincinnati's one of the worst shooting teams in the power conferences.
Well, again, not to push back or anything, but you say, and you're right, like that's the way college basketball is played right now. Well, for my money, I think that Michigan has been the best team in the country, right? You know what Michigan is number 1 in the country at? The percentage of offense they take in the paint. Yeah. 2-point field goal percentage. They're number 1. Arizona is in the top 30 in terms of how much of their offense is generated inside the 2-point line versus behind the 3-point line. So like everybody wants to shoot threes, but I almost feel like this is what we're seeing a little bit in the NFL too. Everybody went pass happy for all those years. So everyone went to smaller linebackers. You only have 2 linebackers on the field and they're smaller and faster. So now what have we seen last year and this year? We're seeing more running. The running game is coming back and holding more import, right? It's kind of the same thing in basketball. Like if I'm a college basketball coach right now, I'm saying we're only going to take 15 3-pointers tonight. We're just going to pound the ball inside because they have 5 guys out there who are all like 6'7" or shorter. So that's what Michigan's doing. That's what Arizona's doing. And that's why they've been 2 of the best teams.
I think one of the greatest things that good coaches do is they can adjust to the personnel. I mean, you look at Dusty Mamie's at FAU. They didn't have that. They had a couple big guys, but it's like, they had smaller guards.
Great guards.
All of a sudden, he gets to Michigan. He gets 2 7-footers. He's like, let's pound the ball. It's like, that's what a good coach does. It's like, hey, we're a great man team this year. Okay, now we're not as good, guarding the ball. Let's mix in a little more zone. It's like you got to be able to adjust. Very few coaches can just play the exact same style all the time. Like it's just usually like sometimes the personnel doesn't always meet that. You try to recruit the personnel, but sometimes that's just not, like guys get hurt or whatever. So Dusty May's done a great job. I will say this year's Big Ten is I think it's going to be really good. So as good as they've been, I can't wait till they match up against Michigan State. I think that's going to be a war. Like, war. I think Illinois is really good. We saw Iowa last night. I mean, Iowa, we talked about them yesterday. I mean, Iowa State is top 4 or 5 team in the country. I mean, they won at Purdue, and it was like one for fun. And that Purdue team, obviously, with their experience, I just think it's going to be a great year in the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big East. I think those 3 years. I don't know about the Big 12 this year, Rob. I don't know if you have any opinion. Like,
I'm okay with that. I mean, the fact that Kansas is going to be like the 5th best team in the Big 12 says a lot. But yeah, I mean, Iowa State, Arizona, and Houston. Like Iowa State, Arizona, and Houston, I would put right up there with Michigan State, Purdue at the top of the Big Ten. Oh, by the way, they have BYU, who I wasn't as high on. It looks like I'm wrong about that. This does look like a very talented BYU team. And I thought if you were going to get them, you get them early, but they're really starting to gel. And then Kansas, Texas Tech, Baylor has some super athletes on that team. So, no, I think the Big 12 is right there with the SEC and the Big 10. In fact, I don't think the Big East is as good because, again, Xavier has been NCAA tournament caliber the last few years. They are not. Creighton has been NCAA tournament caliber the last few years. They are not. So St. John's has been a little bit of a disappointment. Villanova's in that weird transition year. So I think what we're going to see out of the Big East is that some of the teams that have been getting their curb stop lately, like Butler, Georgetown, DePaul, they are better versus the teams like Marquette, Creighton, Xavier that have been near the top. Like none of those teams are going to the NCAA tournament. They're not very good. So parity-wise, Big East, yes, but the Big 12 is way better than the Big East. I think has 3 for sure teams in the dance, and then they're gonna struggle to get the 4th team this year. So I think St. John's. Who's the 3rd team? Connecticut and St. John's, Connecticut. St. John's only 5-3 right now, by the way.
But they played a really tough schedule.
Oh, who's the 3rd one? Seton Hall?
Who did I have the other day?
It's not Marquette. It's not Marquette. They've been bad. It's not
Xavier.
It's
not Villanova. It's not Providence.
It's not Creighton. Providence
Maybe
is
they
a
are
little
only
bit of
a
a disappointment,
team.
even though I still think
I thought that was going to be better too. I really did. I'm wrong. Like they're not going to be very good this year. That was a team I thought that could keep it going. They have not, and I thought Villanova would be better. To be very honest, they brought a lot in. It's just I haven't seen it. This is
a bad year for the Big East. I don't think they're very good at all.
I think UConn. We'll see tonight. I mean, they have played a ridiculous schedule. They are going to be so ready for the Big East. Like the Big East is going to have to do some work. I can't wait to see them play St. John's this year. All right. So the one thing we can say is if you use this free $60 account, you can get free, totally free. There's no strings attached. You don't have to give us your credit card. All you have to do is give us your email and sign up for an account. And you do it with this link right here. You'll get a free $60 account if you're a new customer. If you're an existing customer, go to the grid, get in on whoever's top play today. Several top plays in the NBA. I believe there's a top play in the NHL today.
Nick Menken has a top play in the NHL. Of course there's a top play in the NHL.
And I see there's one in college hoops tonight too, maybe?
Well, no, nobody in college hoops. We got NBA is the primary one. Strike Point Sports is 12-1 in their last 13 plays, and they've won like 5 straight. They're on a roll. Nick, it has a top NHL play. Is it 5 in a row that you've won, Nick?
6
is that
in
right?
a row.
6 in a row that he has won in the NHL. So yeah, there is some solid action.
And there's only 2 NHL games tonight, so it's not like there's a lot out there. So
I'm gonna have a big card tomorrow. Like, you know, I'm not gonna have as big a college basketball card as you would expect, Craig. There are no 20 plays out of me tomorrow. I haven't gotten off to a great start, but I will have a 7-unit play tomorrow in the NBA, NHL, and college basketball. So
I think 15. I think I counted. There's 15 of the top 25 teams play tomorrow in college hoops, and like 10 of them I think are interesting games. You know, there's always a few where we're finishing up.
They're all playing each other. Yeah, like they're all playing and they're all playing each other.
Yeah, so it's a very good. This is always this. Like I said, this is exam week, so this is kind of a week. Usually, we do not see this where it's kind of like, you know, Patsy week, and you know, it's kind of like the last weekend of like the Army Navy. Usually, we have the bowl game tonight, Saturday, and then don't forget, there's bowls. I believe Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday for sure. I think there might even be Friday. So pretty much after this, there's going to be bowls. Not every day, but you know, a bunch of days going forward. So you can get on the
enjoy it because these bowls are not going to stick around much longer.
Not unless they change the whole, like something's got to change.
I doubt it. It's all money. It's all money. They'll stay.
I heard that they're going to move the bowls to the beginning of the year and not the end of the year. So that's the only way to save the bowl system so that the games are relevant.
There's no saving the bowl system. What I think is we're going to see something more like college basketball, where you're going to have the main tournament, which will expand to 16 teams. Somebody will come up with like other mini tournaments, right? Like 8 teams or 4-team tournaments sponsored by. And again, get rid of the bowl games. My big thing is just call the playoff games this, like whoever sponsors the bowl game, let them be the sponsor of one of the quarterfinal games, one of the semifinal games, one like what
the problem is the Rose Bowl means so much. The Rose Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, these mean a lot to a lot of people, not necessarily us. Let's don't be honest. But I mean, there's like the Rose Bowl is a business. It is a business. The parade, everything is a business. Now they might be a not-for-profit, but surrounding it, the hotels, the hospitality, all that is a whole business that goes on for a whole week. And that's not just it. The Cotton Bowl, the Orange Bowl, you go down through these. So they're trying to save the big ones. I get it. And that with the, you know, and kind of incorporate that in. But these other bowls, the LA Bowl that we have today, is probably going to go to the wayside unless they do something like you said, where they say, "Hey, we're going to play the non-power 5 or 4 conference and play an 18 tournament," and they'll be
each one of the games is sponsored by whoever sponsors these things. I mean, it's anachronistic. Like it's
like I would like to see. I'd love to see James Madison play Tulane. To be honest, that's a game I'd like to see. I do not want to see Tulane play again. Play Ole Miss again. I do not want to see James Madison play Oregon. I don't want to see anyone play the big boys because they're not going to win.
I kind of want to see Oregon beat James Madison by like 40. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, that's the only way this is going to change. If they beat the brakes off of them, I think people will be like, all right, we've seen enough of this. Like if we'd had Notre Dame and Oregon, I mean, it would be, the ratings would be off the charts and everybody would be eyes on watch. You're not getting a lot of people to watch that game. So off the soapbox, I'm sorry I got up on it, but like it's, I get sick and tired of it. If we want to play the best teams, let's play the best teams and do not, everybody gets a trophy kind of, we don't need that.
Nick, you got any NHL winners for me tomorrow? Big card tomorrow, not big tonight. A lot of games.
Why is it only
tomorrow?
2
Yes, I do, Robert. Yes, I do, and it is fading the Golden Knights. This will be their 5th road game here. Their last road game before they head back home. Columbus, I believe they're on a 4-game losing streak here. They play a lot better at home. I'm expecting a lot of goals plus money here. I love the Blue Jackets.
And two games in a row went overtime, right? Both of the last 2 games that went overtime. And so it was a game, they played, a game off, played, a game off, now a day off and play again. So that's a brutal way to go. They did win one of those 2. They won last time out in overtime. They lost.
They won 3 out of their 4 road games.
Did they lose 2 in the overtime? The first overtime was Philly? It was Philly.
Philly, they won. That was the last game. Their road streak started in New Jersey. They won that. Islanders, they won that. They lost again to the Islanders. They played them back-to-back, so they lost one of those.
Yeah. What is going on with New Jersey, by the way? They weren't even competitive yesterday. Like what?
No, that was my 6th unit.
What is their problem?
Goaltending and their defense. They allowed too many shots, and their goaltending is not good.
Edmonton makes a big trade today with Pittsburgh. What do you think of getting some goaltending help? What do you think there?
I didn't even see that news, but yeah, I mean, Edmonton does need all the help in net that they could get. I mean, Skinner, we saw it back-to-back Stanley Cups. Is he the right guy? So to get another guy in there, I think will test his abilities to, hold strong in net for the Oilers.
We're going to see. We saw last year the big trade with Marchand going to Florida. That obviously worked out. I don't know if they would have won. I think it would have been much tougher. Obviously, that was a big swing and hit. Do you think that means more trades this year because that worked out?
Not necessarily. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I think the Dallas Stars need to do something. I was very high on them coming into the season, and they've kind of regressed, so to speak, from last season. So I would like to see them be aggressive and get a couple, goal scorers on that offensive side, because they've been lacking there in goals. So we'll see. Obviously, the Marchand trade. A lot of teams are trying to, hit that one good trade per year, but I don't think too much caution on that side of things.
People always remember the ones that work, and no one ever talks about the ones that doesn't work. But it gives, I think, the NHL, the powers that be, the presidents, and that you start putting pressure. Like, dude, look what they did last year. Why can't we do that? And it's like, so it does put pressure, I think, on general managers now that, like, hey, to do something if your team's not playing well before the trade deadline. I think it makes it super exciting. I think we'll see that in the NBA as well this year, by the way, because after the Thunder, I think the NBA people feel like, dude, if you make a trade, you could vault yourself to the next best team. Robert said it. I do think Denver, and I do think the Spurs are pretty good, but they're not world beaters. It's like, who Denver's stopping on? They don't play great defense. They just outscore. They're the number one scoring team. So I do think there's going to be a lot of trades on both. All right, let's get out of here. Don't forget tomorrow, Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Griffin. So the other half of our Chicago tandem there that live in Chicago, and big Bears fans, FYI, fuckers cost
big week. Big week, Robert.
But
worried about it.
He'll be on with Nick, or with Detroit Lenny at 11 o'clock from 11 to noon tomorrow. It's a great show, back and forth. So make sure you get on that at 11 o'clock. All right, guys, have a great day. See you again tomorrow.